Welcome to IBDeditorials.com. Hot and Bothered by Investors Business Daily, February 9th, 2009. Environment. Doctors say depression over climate change is growing, while a poll finds 23% of voters believe it's at least somewhat likely that global warming will destroy the world. At least the alarmists are happy. Last summer, doctors in Melbourne, Australia, diagnosed the first case of climate change delusion. It affected a 17-year-old who was refusing to drink water and had been admitted to the psychiatric unit at Royal Children's Hospital. He thought that if he took a drink, millions of people would die from the drought effects of global warming. Doctors said he'd been depressed for 8 months and had, quote, visions of apocalyptic events, unquote. We don't know if Al Gore has been depressed, but he has certainly had, quote, visions of apocalyptic events, unquote, that he's been all too eager to share. He'll be pleased to hear that, according to the Boston Globe, Dr. Robert Salo, the psychiatrist in charge of the unit where the teenager was treated, quote, has now seen several more patients with psychosis or anxiety disorders focused on climate change, unquote. Children who are, quote, having nightmares about global warming-related natural disasters, unquote, are also booking appointments. As troubling as climate change delusion is to its victims and their families, it's exactly what the global warming alarmists have been trying to inflict. Last year, for instance, the 148,000-member American Psychological Association, which believes, quote, we know how to change behavior and attitudes, unquote, admitted that it was embarking on a campaign to, in essence, condition the public to unthinkingly believe that human behavior is causing an environmental crisis. Among the association's goals was to rid the media of, quote, balanced, unquote, reports on global warming and to use taxpayers' money to fund the initiative. Alarmist success in spreading hysteria isn't confined to Australian teens. In this country, 23% of voters told Rasmussen Reports that it was, quote, at least somewhat likely that global warming will destroy human civilization within the next century, unquote. An additional 5% said it was, quote, very likely, unquote. Scaring the public about global warming is not a service. It's an abuse. It's also a waste of resources. Instead of minds engaged in solving real problems, it appears that many are riddled with anxiety over a chimerical issue, some so much that their lives are bitterly interrupted. We are encouraged, though, by signs that people are starting to understand that global warming is not a serious or even a real problem. We just hope they don't get sucked into the next manufactured crisis. Copyright 2009 Investors Business Daily. Read to you by OutloudOpinion. For more podcasts, visit IBDeditorials.com.